fading. We gotta go. I'll get my car. I brought mine. Yours. I gotta get me one of those.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Batdan's Discussions. So, we have a lot of fear-mongering going on with Netflix, right? Oh my god, if Netflix buys WBD, it will be the end of all theaters and yada yada yada. A bunch of BS. So, I wanted to bring on Zodwriter to have a little discussion. I'll go into more detail about why we're having this little discussion later, and I don't understand that one, Dennis. But anyways, Zodwriter, how are you doing today?
Hey, how's it going? It's good to be here.
It's good to have you on. It's good to have you on to talk about just some stuff I really need to get off my chest today.
Okay.
And then we have a lot of people in the chat. We got Dennis, Qatar, Qatar and Socks. Hello, Socks. How are you? How are you feeling this fine day? Anyways, before we get started with today's show, One Punch Stand director, any updates about the 1PDCU?
Well, it's coming along great. I'm loving it. I was working on the movie just prior to to us doing the stream. So it's coming along good. I'm going to probably have the movie done by the end of the year, which is my hope, to have it completely finished by the end of the year, and to release it early next year. And I have to let people know that I recently started memberships on my YouTube channel, because what's going to happen is I'm going to probably put the movie up for people to view as soon as it's done, so people will have a chance to watch it. But that's only if you're a member of my channel. That's the only way you'll be able to see it early. So I'm letting people know now. Memberships on my channel are now live, and One Punch Stand is definitely alive and well. There's going to be plenty of content coming your way for this brand new universe that is meant to bring some respect back to the comic book movie genre, although not necessarily a comic book movie in and of itself, because this is all original characters, but it has the spirit of a comic book movie with a little more depth and intelligence. That's the way I look at it.
Well, it's a superhero movie, so it's still the same genre, basically. But again, I'm excited. I'm excited for One Punch Stand to come in, save the day from Issa Gay and Just Josh.
No. Yeah, I absolutely love Issa Gay. Issa Gay is a fantastic character. And you guys are I'm so excited. I cannot wait for you guys to see this movie. I've been working very, very hard on it. It's taking its toll on me, but it's all going to be worth it in the end.
Absolutely, Zod. Absolutely. So, guys, become members of Zod's channel and be on the lookout for One Punch Dan 2026. And I cannot wait to see it. And now,
oh yeah, you're gonna wait. Now before you say this, you're gonna come over here and you're gonna watch this movie, because I'm gonna let you know as soon as it's done, and you and I are gonna plan a Saturday or a Sunday, whatever, and you're gonna come over and we're gonna watch this movie together, because I've got to have One Punch Dan, with me to watch this live for the first time. I can't not have. I can't not have that. We've got to definitely do that, and that's why, if you geographically, if you were to come to me now, you'd be seeing the movie. If you were to visit me now, you'd be seeing the movie in the condition that it's in. You'd be seeing it early, because anybody that comes to visit me at all, or anybody that I see, any friends that I hang out with, physically, they get to see One Punch Dan, whether they want to or not. If you walk in my apartment, you get to watch One Punch Dan. That's my rule. So, yeah, I just wanted to add that little part there.
oh, absolutely, Zod. Once it's done and in full and a full completed cut, I will be there. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Because for those who don't know, Zodwriter and I are actually a geographical range where this would actually work. I don't have to fly out to LA to see Zodwriter, so
That's true.
So I cannot wait, and I cannot wait to see this movie. Again, just a reminder, on this channel, I will not be reviewing the movie because that would be a conflict of interest.
Well, yeah, you're like the title character of the movie is portrayed by you, so that would be a little bit. Yeah, that would be a little bit. Yeah, that would be a conflict of interest for sure. Yeah. And again, I want to say, again, thank you to all the people that did watch the first 45 minutes of the movie that I cut together when I was doing special screenings of the first 45 minutes, so that people could see it, could get an idea of what it was, and people were really enjoying it, Bat Dan, and I think. And they really gave me a lot of good comments, a lot of good feedback. I'm really, really encouraged by the direction that this movie is going. It's like when they do like a test screening, and people say, well, test screenings were great. Everybody was unanimously positive. And then you watch the movie, and the movie turns out to be garbage. But in this case, people were genuinely watching it and were giving me genuine feedback. And I really appreciated that, because I was like, well, I just want to know what people think. So, yeah, it's going to be good. I'm looking forward to it, to sharing it with you all. It's been a big part of my life, and I'll be really happy once it's completely finished.
And I'll be happy to finally see the movie in action after all the teaser trailers I saw, after all the promoting, to finally see all the acting that I've done.
Oh yeah. That's the thing, and all the acting and all the, I mean, the shape you had to get in to be in this movie. I mean, it's,
Yeah, no, real Dan will never be in that kind of shape. I can tell you that right now. He'll be in good shape, just not that good.
Okay.
But anyways, guys, One Punch Dan comes out 2026. And now, let's get into why I'm doing this video. So, yeah, Zod and I, we kind of recently did a video about Paramount and Netflix buying Warner Brothers Discovery, and it was a kind of an overview on what could happen, sure, but since then a lot of fear mongering has come out about, like, if Netflix buys WBD, it'll be the end of theaters. We'll never get another DC comic book movie in theaters again. It'll go straight to streaming and blah 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 blah, a bunch of nonsense and BS. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to break down what actually happens if each of these companies get Warner Brothers Discovery, because I think there's a lot of things that are being overlooked here. So the way that this is being broken down, we're going to cover the big four, right? Disney, Paramount, Universal, and Netflix. And we're going to go in the order on what my opinion is the worst possible option to the best possible option. So I don't know if Zodwriter may disagree with me on the ranking, but mainly we're just going to focus on what could be the good stuff and what could be the bad stuff. Some may only have bad stuff. Some may have only good stuff. We'll see. But Zodwriter, any thoughts before we get into the big four?
No, that sounds good.
Okay. So let's get started. And Socks, I have to ask, are you in the chat still? If so, let me know, because there's definitely some Marvel stuff that is going to kind of come into play for this one. And I will say this right now. If anyone says that Disney buying Warner Brothers is better than Netflix or any other option for that matter, I don't take them seriously. Because right off the bat, good. This would be bad, because you would have Marvel and DC, the two biggest superhero IPs ever, under one roof. And you know that if this merger were to or acquisition, because Sin Havoc would kill me if I got the two mixed up, but if this were to get approved right here, someone on the FTC, the FCC, I forget what they all are, someone got paid, because that's the only way that this would actually get approved, because this is a monopoly. This right straight here is monopoly, and we would have DC and Marvel under one roof. And Zod, I can tell you want to say something. Go.
It's a lot, and there's a lot of rules being broken right now, a lot of wrists being twisted, and a lot of things happening. We are definitely not living in normal times. And so, as much as I hate this option of Disney buying WBD, and as much as I agree with you that legally it would be a monopoly, and as much as I think that it would go against the very principle of America if this happened, I can't rule it out at this point. Unfortunately, with the way things are going, I hope it doesn't happen, and I would think that it wouldn't, but if it did, I wouldn't be surprised. And I'm just going to put it that way, because I think that it's the fact that it's even a possibility is horrible, but it could happen. I don't think it's very likely, but I don't rule it out. Like, if this were to happen, if this were like we were having this conversation like a couple years ago, I would absolutely be saying to you, there's no way that this happens. But in 2025, with the way things are going now, particularly with the FCC and the whole, and the way, the way things are going as far as government involvement in this kind of stuff, I wouldn't be surprised. That's all I can really say.
Absolutely. And I'm sorry, Frank C sent me a picture that I'm going to show later. So Frank C, I am going to show that picture you sent me, but I'm going to send it a little later because it's going to be a little more relevant to a later part of this conversation.
Frank says it would never get approved. And see, that's where I disagree, because I feel like under the right circumstances and under the right negotiation, and if the right people get sweet talked, it could happen. It could definitely get approved. I don't think anything is off the table.
Oh yeah, no, I totally agree. I totally agree with you. Is that, that's what I'm saying. Like, if it happens, it got paid. Someone got paid. That's what I'm saying.
Big time, and it would be one of the biggest mistakes in movie studio history if it did happen. But I can't. Sox is right. Anything is possible. Exactly, and that's the problem. Something like this should absolutely not be possible. The fact that we have to even consider it a possibility shows you just how weird of a timeline we're living in, for real.
I agree. I think our biggest asset in Disney not buying Warner Brothers is if they have enough money. Because I've heard Disney not having as much money and stuff, but I mean, we'll see. I mean, we'll see about that. But let's play devil's advocate. Let's just say it happened. This went through. I guess here's my big question. We'll start with this one. What do you think this means for the Snyderverse?
I don't think it bodes well for the Snyderverse. I think if Disney were to buy WBD, it would be folded into James Gunn's current DCU, because James Gunn and Marvel and DC are very tight-knit. They've both mentioned each other's universe, by the way. Once again, hashtag Zodwriter was right. 3 years ago, when I was being called a kook and when I was saying that they want to set up Marvel versus DC, I was being called all types of conspiracy theory names, all kinds of crazy names. But the reality is, that's exactly what they're setting up. If Marvel and DC were to be under one umbrella, and it's probably going to happen anyway, regardless, but under a Disney banner, it would most certainly happen, for sure. And I don't think we would ever see the Snyderverse again. That's just my opinion.
I agree with you, because Zod, I went back and forth on this, and I thought on one hand, look, I give Kevin Feige a hard time about stuff, but one thing that's good about him is that he listens to fans. That was one thing I did say, I will admit that, but then I remembered Gunny Poo is on good terms with Marvel. That's the big problem right here. Here's what I think would happen. I think that James Gunn wouldn't be DC co-head anymore, but he would be heavily involved. He would just basically have a different title, because I think what would happen...
It kind of float between companies. Like, he'd be like a grand consultant for both, because it would be under one umbrella now.
Yeah, well, I think what would happen is DC Studios would get folded into Marvel Studios, and Gunny Poo would be a creative consultant. He would direct a lot of movies within DC, and we would be getting that DC Marvel crossover that, let's be honest, we both know that they want. And Corey Simmons, how is it going, man? Thanks for stopping by. And Frank C., I hope this happens. And okay, so, well, here's the thing though, Sox. Yes, he did. You're right, but he also rehired James Gunn. So
right. That effectively, I would argue that James Gunn getting fired from Guardians of the Galaxy 3 initially was the best thing to happen to him in his career. Because after he got fired, sure, there was a little uncertainty for him for a little while, but he not only did he get rehired, he got to come back and do it, but then he got hired by DC. So, he is again failing upward. So it doesn't. So to me, that I don't even know how people can use that as a negative anymore. I wouldn't even be surprised if the whole thing wasn't a publicity stunt from the start. To be honest with you, at this point, I'm starting to wonder.
Well, if Sin Havoc were in the chat, he would probably be confirming right now that it was a publicity stunt, because I recall him speculating that before, or saying that. But yeah, exactly though. That's exactly my point. Is that I wouldn't be surprised either if that was just a way to get a Marvel guy into DC. So this would not be good. This would not be good all around. And also, here's another thing that would happen too. The whole quality of the superhero genre would plummet more than it already has, because there wouldn't be competition. Because I'm going to say after Endgame. I'm going to say after the Snyder Cut, because that's when Endgame ended and that's when Marvel started to fall off the rails. I firmly believe, Zod, that if they had gone forward with the Snyderverse after the success of Zack Snyder's Justice League, that Marvel would have also been better. Because why? Competition. Competition breeds success. Competition breeds quality. When DC wasn't going forward with the Snyderverse, Marvel knew they didn't have to try as hard, and the quality dipped. And then the same thing with Cavill, the whole Cavill situation. When they fired Cavill, they said that, you know, again, the hype for DC was down and Marvel's quality dipped even
Yeah,
further. That's
yeah, yeah. I couldn't agree more. I think that where it stands, you would it would. I mean, there's a reason why the rumors are that Marvel Doomsday is going to erase everything that happened in the Marvel continuity post Endgame. That's what the rumors are. And I believe that to be the case because they need to kind of regroup. They need to kind of get back to what works for them. So I could totally see that being the reality. But I think you're completely right about the Snyderverse. The Snyderverse was taking it to Marvel. The Snyderverse was doing it in a way that was allowing DC to compete by making DC uniquely DC, giving you unique and films that were epic in scope, giving you a story that was strictly DC, that was very, very different from what you were getting with Marvel. And that is what you need. You need Marvel and DC to be two diametrically opposed entities. You can't have Marvel and DC both doing the same thing. This is why James Gunn's DCU isn't going to work, because it's almost like, you know what the DCU kind of reminds me of now? It's kind of like an edgier version of Marvel, but still Marvel. It's like an edgelord version of Marvel is what it essentially has become. And if you go and you watch, and I will admit it, I have been watching Peacemaker season 2 religiously, not because I'm a fan and not because I like what James Gunn is doing, but because I like to know the people that I am opposed to. So I've been watching Peacemaker, and believe me, quality-wise, there is nothing there. It is literally the worst case scenario possible for DC. There is no worse. I can say this with complete certainty. There is no worst case scenario for DC than the one we are living through right now. Anybody, whoever ends up buying DC, I don't think it could possibly get any worse. I feel like we have reached rock bottom with DC. There is no lower that it can't get any worse. So this would keep, if Disney were to buy WBD, this would keep DC at its lowest possible, in its lowest possible form. You will not get any more growth. You would not get any more competition. You wouldn't get anything. In fact, all the DC characters would probably just get folded into Marvel projects. They probably wouldn't even have DC be a separate thing. And now, because Peacemaker, spoiler alert, Peacemaker has the ability to go into different realities. He has like a door where he can like go into different realities and stuff. They probably would just have Peacemaker walk into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and that's how they would start the whole thing.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly how they would do it, honestly. I mean, I haven't watched Peacemaker season 2. I've seen some clips. I do know about the whole Pocket Universe. I know there's that whole Earth X thing, and kind of what we were talking about earlier about, how it was kind of foreshadowed how all the background extras were white people, so you knew that there was something wrong with that Earth. But anyway, yeah, Earth X, the racist Earth, that's where Peacemaker is. I do know about that. But yeah, that's exactly what would happen, is that he would, however he's been going through those universes, he would end up on Earth, on Marvel.
Yeah,
Earth
he would just open it.
26.
He would just open a door, and all of a sudden he walk through, and he would be in Marvel. That's what would happen. I'm telling you now, that's what would happen if DC was purchased, if Warner Brothers was purchased by Disney. That would happen. I can almost guarantee it. So honestly, it can't get any worse, but that would be the absolute worst thing that could happen as far as Marvel and DC go. Because then, if you're a fan of those movies, fan of those properties, it's just completely over with.
You know what sucks? If this actually happens, maybe I will be more in support of it. Probably not still, actually. I would still hate it. But if this happens, you know what? I'll give Kevin Feige some respect. But
and I will say this, you want to know something funny? In watching this Peacemaker show, Peacemaker isn't the biggest piece of crap in the show. He's actually not. Surprisingly enough, it's not Peacemaker that's the problem. But I look at the show and I say to myself, this is a show that would not exist at all if James Gunn was not in charge. And if Disney buys WBD, James Gunn will continue to hold the power over at DC. Even if he's not like full-on CEO, like Bat Dad was saying, he will still hold immense power in that new combination between the two.
Yeah, absolutely, Zod. And there's another point I want to bring up in terms of the whole theatrical perspective, because people keep saying, "Oh, if Netflix buys Warner Brothers, all the movies won't be in theaters. It'll be bad for theaters." Well, here's what I want to say, and I'm going to bring this point up here because this is specifically a Disney point, but it's going to apply to these other topics as well. Is that right now, I think there's like 5 or 6 major theatrical studios: Warner Brothers, Disney, MGM, Universal, and Paramount. Is there any other big one? I'm not putting 20th Century on here.
Isn't MGM owned by Amazon?
Yes, MGM is.
Yeah,
they're owned by Amazon. Yes, and 20th Century is owned by Disney, so I'm not counting that as a separate studio from Disney. And what about Lionsgate? Is Lionsgate big still?
I wouldn't say Lionsgate is particularly big, but they are a studio, I guess.
No, we'll just say 5 or 6. We'll just say 5 or 6 just to. But we used to have 6 or 7. I'm not going to count Lionsgate. The saying "or" too many times is going to drive me insane. So we used to have 6 with Fox, which is now just called 20th Century, but then Disney bought them. And now that's one less studio out there, because I want to show this point. So as you guys know, they just announced the Simpsons movie too. But I want to show you something in regards to that, because I think there's a point that's very interesting. So, shoo. I hate these stupid ads, but so here we go. We're saying that it's going to make the Simpsons movie was released, and to mark its upcoming 20th anniversary, we're finally getting the sequel. However, it looks like it's set to take place of an MCU movie in 2027. Now, this right here, this is what gets me, Zod. Because what does that tell you about the fact that the Simpsons movie, which is 20th Century, owned by Disney, 20th Century used to exist as its own separate thing, but is now owned by Disney, took the place of an MCU movie? What does that tell you, Zod?
Well, it was probably a crappy MCU movie.
Sorry, Socks. Zod's words, not mine. But here's the point I want to make with that, though. Not so much of quality of the movie. Here's the thing. A movie studio, they have a certain amount of movies they release per year.
Mm-hmm.
So if Fox was its own separate studio from Disney, like they had no affiliation, or 20th Century, it would still be called Fox, and we'll just say 20th Century. It wouldn't matter. It wouldn't be taking the place of a movie. It would just be its own. 20th Century would have their own slotted schedule, and Disney would have their own slotted schedule. But the fact that it took the place of an MCU movie shows that 20th Century and Disney are not outputting the same amount of movies now that they're one entity. So here's the point I'm making with that, though. If Disney buys Warner Brothers, that's going to be one less major studio out there, because Warner Brothers is not going to be implementing the same amount of movies if Disney buys them. They're going to be implementing less movies because they'll all have a certain amount of movies that Disney can release.
Yeah.
So that's just another thing I want to kind of point out to people, because a lot of people keep saying, well, if Netflix buys Warner Brothers, it'll be the end of theatrical releases. It's like, well, no, if another movie studio buys Warner Brothers, that's less theaters out there. That's less movies releasing in theaters, because now that's one schedule, essentially, between Warner Brothers and Disney and, well, 20th Century. So it's bad enough that we have Disney and 20th Century under one schedule. Yet put Warner Brothers in that. That's one less major theatrical studio out there.
Yeah, that's true. But to be fair, if it was going to be a good MCU movie, and they thought they were going to make money off of it, they wouldn't be putting The Simpsons in its place. It's the truth.
Oh, no, I agree with you. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that the whole point is the fact that it took the place of an MCU movie, or it took place of any Disney movie, shows that Disney and Fox are limited now, because now it's just all Disney. So they're not inputting movies at the same amount, is more of the point I'm making.
No, I get it. I get it.
You know, I'm not going to disagree with you, Socks. I'm kind of praying that The Simpsons movie 2 is the series finale of The Simpsons, honestly. But if I get too far into that, that's going to be a whole nother...
That'll be another stream.
Yeah. But I'm just going to say that I agree with you, Socks. That's all I'm going to say, is that I do not disagree with you. But, and yeah, guys, we hold off on the Netflix talk right now, because it's going to come into play definitely, but right now we're covering the other studios first. But like Frank C, again, your pictures are going to be shown just when we get to the Netflix part of this conversation. But, and also I will say this, if Disney buys Warner Brothers, I think that what will happen is HBO Max as a service would shut down, but Disney would have HBO Max as a separate subscription on their app, like Hulu will be a separate subscription on their app, as opposed to its own separate app. That's my guess what would happen.
And you'd be able to go on Disney Plus and just access everything.
I mean, I wouldn't mind that convenience. I will admit that would be a first world problem solved convenience, but that wouldn't be worth it for this other stuff that's going to happen. That would happen with that.
Oh, absolutely not. Like, again, it'd be the worst possible thing, and it would definitely be the worst possible option for those of us that are fans of the Snyderverse and want that to continue.
Exactly. And I think another option that would be bad for the Snyderverse, honestly, Paramount. What if Paramount buys WBD, or Paramount, or I'm sorry, hold on, because I know I'm going to get corrected for saying this. What if Paramount-Skydance buys WBD? Here, we'll say it like that because it's now one merged company. And I will say for the Snyderverse, 2 words: Walter Hamada.
Yeah, but how much power does Walter Hamada wield over there, though? I mean, he's not head of the company.
Yeah, I guess that's a good point. I mean, I don't know.
Isn't Walter Hamada doing like horror movies and stuff? Like I don't think Walter Hamada has that kind of power. It's like it'd be like it's like Netflix hiring somebody that doesn't like Zack Snyder to make some movies and puts him in charge of certain things. Like everybody was worried when Scott Stuber stepped down and they put somebody else. Didn't they put the guy in charge that almost that it was almost going to take over
Yeah.
DC?
Yeah.
And it proved everybody's fear mongering over him proved to be completely wrong, because Zach still has a very prosperous relationship to Netflix to this day. So yeah, Dan Lin. It had nothing. There was literally no issue, and I can guarantee you, Dan Lin would have been better for us taking over WB or DC than what we have now. That's for sure.
Well, I'll say this too. Remember, Mikey Sutton said that with Dan Lin, his plan was to give one movie to finish off the Snyderverse, then reboot. And you know what? At least we've gotten a proper conclusion to the story, and we wouldn't be in this situation right now. So, yeah, Dan Lin, fear mongering, and I'm just going to say this, the Curly Ray, just to kind of correct the narrative on that. We would not see that because Stephen Hillenburg, I cannot pronounce his name, but the creator of SpongeBob, before he died, he specifically requested that Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy not get recast after Ernest Borgnine and Tim Conaway passed away. Like, he did not. I mean, I know Mermaid Man was voiced by other actors in video games, but in terms of the main show, don't recast the actor. So I don't think we would see Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy with DC. And I love SpongeBob growing up, guys, so I do know some random stuff about SpongeBob. But yeah, I don't think that actually would happen just for that reason. But maybe we could see DC crossing over with South Park.
Yeah, whatever.
But yeah, that's not. I mean, with Paramount buying DC, here's my big concern. Paramount and Skydance, they're in debt right now. Like, they are in major debt. The last thing I want to see is them to acquire WBD, who is also in major debt right now. Because if a company in debt acquires another company in debt, that's just more debt. And then they're not going to be able to spend money on higher quality productions. And that's just going to compromise DC. In my opinion.
I don't really know like what would be the point of Paramount-Skydance buying WBD. I don't know why they would even be interested in doing that. I mean, Skydance just acquired Paramount. Why acquire WBD at this point? To me, it doesn't even really make sense. But I know Elon Musk is pushing for it. So,
yeah, you know, I was going to show this point later, but we can actually show this point right now. So this is one of the pictures that Frank C sent to me. And here, let me just take off this banner. But basically is that Larry Ellison and Elon Musk are personal friends, with Musk considering Ellison as a mentor. Ellison invested $1 billion in Musk's purchase of Twitter and severed ties with the Tesla board of directors. Okay, so basically the key point is Musk views Ellison as a mentor and close personal friend. So, yeah, I'm just going to say right now, that's why I'm going to kind of say Elon Musk can just shut up. That's all I'm going to.
Now, unfortunately, I actually believe that this is the likeliest of scenarios at this point, because of the fact you have the world's richest man backing this merger, and you have such close ties between Musk and Ellison, and Musk is also trying to bury Netflix at this point too. A point that people really need to pay attention to. Musk is trying to bury Netflix right now, regardless of how you feel about that, that is the truth. That's what's going on. So I think it's the likeliest of scenarios. If it doesn't happen, I'll be surprised.
Yeah. I mean, that definitely, I mean, don't want to get lost my train of thought. Sorry. Yeah, I mean, that in terms of like that, I mean, again, I'm trying to like dance around the Elon Musk thing on this video, not because it's not important, but because I think that's just a whole nother topic right now that would get us on a whole nother tangent. I'm not saying that I'm not going to do this video. I'm just saying that here, don't want to touch on that too much right now because that would just be a whole separate topic. But yeah, that's definitely, I definitely have my own concerns with that one. But I would say the biggest whole, I mean, I would say the biggest way that this would actually happen is if Elon Musk personally contributed funds. That would be the best scenario. That'd be the only way I could see this.
But what I'm saying is he probably would. I mean, if he could help his friend and push this thing over the top, yeah. I mean, it just seems, again, like I was saying earlier about the type of climate that we're living in, it just seems very, very possible. Like I'm not, like I would, like I said before, I would never have considered Disney to be a contender in any world, but in this world, anything is possible. And this right here, to me, it just seems like because all the circumstances, all the dominoes seem to be aligning with this more than anything else. So I kind of just feel like from a logical perspective, if you throw that into a big stew pot and stir the stew, that's what you end up with. And I just think that's what we're going to get. I think DC and WB is going to be under Skydance and Paramount. I just think that's going to eventually happen. And I don't know. I don't think it'd be necessarily great for those of us that want the Snyderverse, but maybe it won't be as bad as we think. Maybe some good could still come out of it. Maybe we still would have a chance. But Disney, we would have no chance. So I don't know.
Well, I would say with this, with Paramount were to buy WBD, I think this would be the biggest advantage of the whole debt thing. They need to find a way to pay off some debt. They may need to regroup their plans before they formulate their DC plan. But in the meantime, they can sell ZSJL 2 and 3 to Netflix because this will accomplish two things. One, this will give them some money. They can pay off some of that massive debt that they have. And
Yeah.
two, this gives some hype for the DC brand. And actually, a third thing, this buys them time to properly formulate a DC plan. So I do think there would be hope for the Snyderverse if Paramount. I mean,
all wouldn't be lost under this scenario. I think this scenario is not ideal for us, but it's not the worst of scenarios by any means.
No, I don't think so. I think my bigger concern would be that if another theatrical studio buying Warner Brothers is one less theatrical studio out there. That would be my biggest concern. And okay, wow, okay. I need to Frank C, man, you're really contributing. Hold on, Zod. He sent me something else. Continue talking.
Yeah, I see it being at least an option. There's at least a chance. But if they get it. But I understand, and when you put politics aside and when you put all the BS aside, it's ultimately going to come down to money. It's ultimately going to come down to, like Sock says, it's going to be a bidding war between the two companies, and it's ultimately going to come down to who's going to be willing to fork out the most money. Period. Yeah. So what does that mean, this article? Uh-oh. Well, unless Elon Musk injects some cash into the mix. You're muted.
Right. I muted because I was doing my keyboard clicking. So thank you. I mean, I'll say this though, Zod, is that if Paramount loses all interest in Warner Brothers and buying Warner Brothers, I think Elon's crusade against Netflix ends, because if it's truly to help his friend buy Warner Brothers, then there's no point. There's no point in him going after
Right. The crusade essentially ends because, so you get millions of people to cancel their Netflix subscription over an old cartoon. So you do. So you're successful. But that doesn't, but like you said, if your friend isn't going to buy WB anymore, well, yeah, you're right. That kind of nips that in the bud. So that would be good news, because I hate seeing Netflix getting dragged through the mud like this. It's terrible.
I agree, and again, the reason why I don't want to cover this in full for because I still want to kind of let things play out a little bit, because I mean, there's always cancellation fads. Not to get too political, I'm just saying there was a cancellation fad with Disney Plus that happened recently. That's all I'm going to say. That happened. It's happening to all the streaming studios, is what I'm saying. Whether I agree with certain things or not, that's irrelevant. So, it's hard because I don't like talking politics on this channel, but unfortunately, with this kind of topic, you have to kind of talk about
it's all intertwined. You can't really. It's very, very hard to dance around it, but that's the reality. There's politics involved, and so you just have to, deal with it head on when it comes to these types of topics, because, like it or not, politics is injected into business more than it should be at this point, but it's just the reality. So,
yeah, exactly, and that's just the unfortunate reality. But in terms of Paramount-Skydance, I do think also they brought Michael Bay back for Transformers. Now, I'm not a big Transformers guy, but I do know this is a big deal for the Transformers fans. So there's precedent in bringing back directors that fans wanted. So that is another good thing. And I will
nostalgia sells. Nostalgia sells, and that is the biggest marketing uptick for the Snyderverse if they decided to allow Zack to come back and at least do one more movie or finish it out with 2 movies. Whatever they chose to do, nostalgia sells.
Exactly. And to be honest, they probably would let Zack do it in 2 movies because he plans on filming them back to back. It's actually more profitable for them to let him do 2 movies in that case. So, yeah, I mean, Sox, I'm not really involved in that, big in the Transformers Michael Bay stuff. I just know that there was some fan demand for Michael Bay, and Paramount brought him back. That's all.
That just goes to show you how bad things have gotten with the Transformers franchise, that they are so desperate to go back to Michael Bay. But you see, that's what's happened with DC. Things cannot get any worse with DC right now. DC needs a win. The Snyderverse will give DC a win. Okay? They're not making money right now. Nobody's watching Superman. Nobody's watching Peacemaker unless they're doing what I'm doing, where they're watching it just to see how bad it can get, or they're hate watching it. That's not a fan base, and that's not going to be sustainable for them going forward. So I mean, if Paramount and Skydance and Elon Musk do succeed, perhaps the Snyderverse has more of a chance at being resurrected. It definitely has more chance of being resurrected than it does right now under the current regime. And if Disney were to buy them, it's all over with. But.
And I'll say this: if Paramount buys Warner Brothers, Ditch Paramount Plus, put everything on HBO Max, because Paramount, your service sucks. You have great content, but your app is terrible. The software is terrible. The interface is terrible. It's buggy
Yeah,
as hell.
yeah, I hate that. I hate that interface. It is god awful. Yes.
And if it wasn't for South Park, I would not be subscribed to that service. So Paramount, this would be your big advantage, honestly. And
So does that mean you're going to start watching? You're going to start watching Transformers movies on
probably not.
Paramount? I didn't think so.
I mean, no offense to the Transformers fans, but there's so much stuff people are telling me to watch right now, and that's like a whole franchise I have to commit to. I'm like, too much like, I only have so much time in a day. But
right. You only have so much time, and I'm trying to get you to watch 1986 Highlander. Okay.
What up, Mama Bear?
There's Mama Bear in the chat. It's so good to see you, Mama Bear.
But I would say my big concern is kind of the same point I brought up with the whole Simpsons point earlier, is that if Paramount buys Warner Brothers, that's one less theatrical studio out there, because now it's Paramount and Warner Brothers now are under one release window, one release schedule. So that's less movies being put in the theaters if this happens. So I would not like that. And I don't know, again, I don't know why. And this is just an instinct, honestly. I just don't know what they would do after the Snyderverse. Because here's the thing. I want the Snyderverse saved, absolutely. But after that, I want DC to be a strong brand still. So I don't know if Paramount, it's a coin toss for me with Paramount if they would do a good job with DC. I mean, is Larry Ellison and Elon Musk, are they on good terms with Gunny Poo?
I don't know. I don't know, man. It's hard to say.
Yeah.
Although I have seen, Gun. I don't know. That's oh well.
Yeah. So again, do we really know with that? I don't know. I would just hope that they would do the right thing, but I'm just saying this is so far from the ideal scenario. And I'm hoping that, again, this whole thing with Ellison and Musk just stops, because that's just ridiculous at this point. And hopefully, and I know Sin Havoc says legally they can't merge again because they just this merger just happened. But again, nothing. As long as you have money, it doesn't matter. If we're being honest here,
right. Money can accomplish anything in our current environment. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. And so now let's get on to what I think is the second best scenario. Universal. I think if Netflix I don't want to get too far into this, but I thought Musk and Trump had a falling out or something. I don't know. I'm not, I don't want to cover that too much anymore, but anyways, Universal.
It's complicated. They have a complicated relationship. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, I thought so. So I didn't know if that would really, Gunn being a leftist, would really have an effect in that regard, just because Elon tends to go back and forth over which party he seems to want to support now. So
it's real complicated, because at one point he was saying that he was doing his own, he was launching his own political party. So it's just complicated.
And here's the thing, DC Talk. I think that's very possible, but until it actually gets announced, I have to treat everything as speculation at this point. Even the stuff Sin Havoc says. And, okay, they're friends again. So we'll see if they have another falling out. Okay. Well, if that's the case, then okay. But point is, yeah, I don't know in terms of the politics driving Gunn and Musk apart, but that's a whole nother can of worms that, yeah, we'll get us off topic. But anyways, Universal buys WBD. Now, before Netflix seriously entered the ring, I will say that I touted this, when on my Batman's Return stream with Josh, is that this idea really excited me for one simple reason. We could see DC theming in Universal's theme parks, because as I broke down, basically long and short of it, Marvel, they're limited because of their licensing agreement with Disney. Six Flags, even though they do have the theme park rights to DC, they don't have any parks in Florida, Cedar Fair or Six Flags. Six Flags is in debt. And Universal, if they buy Warner Brothers, they would have their own IP in the parks. They would just have to buy Six Flags. Here, let us use our characters in Florida, and you can keep everything else as normal. Helped with that debt. Six Flags doesn't have any parks in Florida, so who cares if Universal has their own DC theming? And then Universal can do whatever they want with DC because it's their park. They don't have to check in with the people who own the IP because they own the IP. So I think Universal would replace Marvel Land with DC Land, and then Disney would get Marvel back for their parks. So I think this would, I mean, I would like that idea because I think, I love Six Flags. I was there last night, but their theming sucks. I mean, okay, they're thrill rides. I mean, the Batman roller coaster, I love the Batman roller coaster, but from a theming perspective, it's not that great. It's Batman colors, and I think in the Six Flags by me, there's like a broken police car. It's a prop in the ride that you see as you're riding the roller coaster. So I actually rode Batman 4 times in a row last night because there were no lines, and I'm like, they didn't even make me get off. They're like, you can stay on if you want. I'm like, okay, I'm staying on then. But anyways, theming sucks, and I would like to see you have like a more universal quality theming for DC. So I think that would be pretty cool if that happened.
So you want Universal to be more universal.
Well, yeah, I guess it would be more universal because they would own DC and they would actually have DC at their parks. But I just want to see better theming. That's mainly what I want to see. I want to go to a theme park with better DC theming than what we get at Six Flags. I love Six Flags. Again, theming is just not their strong suit, is all I'm saying. But again, all this speculation, it's all speculation for me right now, but I'm just saying that if this happened, I think this would be the second best scenario because Universal has partnered with Netflix before. So if you wanted Netflix to do the Snyderverse, I mean, there is a precedent.
Well, Universal does have Christopher Nolan over there. Just saying.
Yes. That's the other point. That's the other big reason. Christopher Nolan is a man with influence. Okay. Isn't he like head of the Directors Guild now?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if Nolan wants Zack Snyder, if Universal owns DC and Nolan wants Zack Snyder working on DC again, it's going to happen. Like, that's not even a question.
I think that this is one of the least likeliest scenarios, though. I don't think Universal's going to get him. I don't even think, and I thought I read something too that Universal is not even in the running for them. But I don't think it's going to happen. But it would definitely be a better option than Paramount and Disney would be. So, yeah, Universal would be good for us, I think, for sure.
Absolutely,
for a number of reasons, but
yeah, I think it would be good for Zack Snyder. I think it would be good for, again, my love for theme parks and wanting to see some good DC theming. But
you should become a theme park YouTuber. I think that would be fun if you started doing YouTube videos where you like reviewed rides and attractions and things like that. That'd be fun.
Yeah, that would be. The only thing is theme parks are expensive, so I can't dedicate a whole channel to that because I don't have the money. I mean, I have a season pass for Six Flags, but that's only going to carry me so far for a theme park channel.
Yeah.
I may do some theme park videos, especially in 2027. And there is a theme park I plan on going to that, I'm not going to say right now in case it doesn't go through, but okay, Frank C just sent me something else. Okay, I think I'm just going to have to say Frank C, like, Frank C, here's the video I'm doing. Send me every image you have on it. But hold on. It's a link. Okay, here we are. I'm just gonna share the screen. So this is from Puck News, which is in the worst position to acquire Zaz's assets from a regulatory perspective. Spent the weekend running the numbers on WBD per source familiar through a Comcast source cautioned that such a takeover was implausible, especially as it was spinning off Versant. Versant? Okay, well, maybe it won't happen, but I mean, I actually did go to Universal LA and went to the Harry Potter theme park, but anyways, back on topic. So, okay, so maybe it might not happen, but the point of this stream is more of, because it's still going to be a contender that people talk about because, let's be honest, at the end of the day, all this stuff is speculation. Things can surprise you. So I'm still covering all this stuff like it could happen, unless the CEO himself says, I'm out, it's not happening. I'm still treating everything like a possibility right now. I do agree. I don't think it is the most likely, but I think it is the second best option, honestly. To be honest, the only negative I really see from this is just one less theatrical studio out there. The same issue as Paramount and Disney. I mean, other issues too, but I think it's one less major theatrical studio out there. And I've covered this one before. And is it theme parks though? I thought they weren't really theme parks. Like I know it's like the Netflix houses aren't really considered theme parks. So anyways, until stuff actually happens, I'm not really touting stuff too much. But if Netflix does get their own theme park, that would be really great. And actually, I'm going to Universal in February. I actually booked my trip last weekend for it. So Universal Orlando. So I'm really excited for that one. But anyways, I mean, this is not a bad scenario, honestly. This is not like if Universal buys WBD, it's fine. We still sell ZSHL, sell Snyderverse to Netflix because until the new regime actually does something right, we don't engage with them. That's the way I kind of look at it, is that take the engagement away from WB until they become a better regime. That's the way I look at it. So, but yeah, I would say the only negative really is just one less theatrical studio out there, but I think it would be kind of cool to see Universal and WBD. I mean, I think there's a lot of cool stuff that could happen. And also Peacock is not a great interface either. So they could take HBO Max's interface. It's not as bad as Paramount. I mean, Paramount is just god-awful, but I don't know. Peacock is not the best either.
No, Peacock is pretty bad too.
Yeah. So both those could use better interfaces. So I'm just going to say that right now. But now, here is the big one. The one that we want, the one that we are hoping to happen is Netflix. If Netflix buys Warner Brothers Discovery. Now, Frank C. sent me, I think it's this picture, so basically Stephen Call is saying is commenting on the potential benefits of Netflix acquiring Warner Brothers, specifically noting that such a move would kickstart the theatrical IP strategy for the streaming giant. Basically talking about leveraging intellectual property, comics, novels for multiple theatrical releases and related projects. For Netflix acquiring, basically, we know that Netflix wants to be a major theatrical player,
and that essentially debunks every single person that's out there saying that would be the end of the theaters.
Exactly, Zod. Exactly. Because here's the thing. With the other studios, they're all theatrical studios, acquiring another theatrical studio, making one less theatrical studio. Netflix wanting to get into theaters with Warner Brothers, that would still be a new separate theatrical studio. Like when Amazon bought MGM. Oh my God, I forgot about Sony. I didn't think I said Sony in the list of major studios. Forgot about Sony.
Well, we don't want Sony to buy WBD, so.
Yeah. No, I mean, not in terms of this list. I'm not even really entertaining Sony for this. When I was listing out the major theatrical studios earlier, forgot about Sony. Yeah. But still, though, when Amazon bought MGM, Amazon wasn't a theatrical company. They were a shipping company. So it wasn't one less studio that was out there. Or I think Amazon bought MGM, right? MGM existed before Amazon owned them, I think. But my point is, though, Warner Brothers would be its own theatrical studio, would still be a separate theatrical studio because Netflix isn't one. It would just be Netflix's way of getting into the business. So that would not be one less theatrical studio out there. That is a big reason why. Okay, thank you. And yeah, and obviously the Curly Ray and I, we had a whole video about how Netflix buying Warner Brothers could affect Rebel Moon. So check that out. I think that was a really great discussion. But Zod, I guess if Netflix buys WBD, what's your thoughts on the Snyderverse if Netflix were to buy WBD?
The Snyderverse is a slam dunk, a guarantee. Period. It's happening.
Exactly. As for Gunny Poo, he's kaput.
Oh,
if that happened.
Yeah,
They're not.
No. That evens the playing field. If Netflix acquires WBD, there's so much more of an upside to Netflix acquiring them that it just makes more logical sense that they would be the ones. The whole theatrical angle, the Snyderverse, DC, the ability to be able to take comics and novels and all kinds of other IPs and just I mean, it's a win-win for Netflix any way you look at it. So unless Elon Musk is injecting some money into the Skydance Paramount angle, I think Netflix is the likeliest to come out victorious in this situation.
Exactly, and I know a lot of people are speculating.
But I'm not gonna underestimate. I'm not gonna underestimate Elon either, because I honestly never thought that Twitter would sell out to Elon either. I never thought that would happen, but it did. So
yeah, I know Musk. Sometimes I question Elon Musk's sanity at certain points, and this is just because of how he is in general. And hey, a lot of my family members drive Teslas, and they're great cars, but still question Elon Musk at certain points, is all I'm going to say. But yeah, I don't underestimate his power, so I'm praying that Netflix, or that it already happened, as the Curly Ray said, is that this deal already went through, and they just haven't announced it yet.
Yeah, they haven't announced it yet because it's not final through the. They got to go through all the motions, but it may have already happened for all we know. I don't know.
Yeah, and maybe it did, but again, as like I said, until something actually gets announced, everything is speculation. Universal backing out, Paramount backing out, or going through with it.
You know what? I think our biggest clue is when James Gunn said that Peacemaker probably won't get a season 3.
Oh, yeah.
Why would Peacemaker get a season 3, James? Why? You are the head of the studio. You are greenlighting everything. You're in control. So why don't you just greenlight a season 3 of Peacemaker? What's the matter? What's happening? What's the problem?
Because potential, even before a buyout, an acquisition, or a merger closes, the head company, the company that's in power, that's going to be in power, can still make some calls. They can still tell Zazoff, hey, yeah, Peacemaker season 3, we don't want that. That's not happening. Don't greenlight that, okay?
That's why James Gunn is going out of his way to, try and get all his other crap out of the gate before this happens, because he knows once this happens, he's done.
Yep, exactly. That's exactly what would happen, is that especially if Netflix buys WBD, Gunny Poo knows he's gone, that he's done, that Netflix don't want him, they want Zach. And I think for DC, that would be a win. And at the end of the day, this whole fear-mongering about the theatrical experience, if you are concerned about the theatrical experience, Netflix is your best bet. They want to be in theaters, and unlike these other potential buyers, them buying this studio would mean that one less studio That would be one less theatrical studio is out there. Whereas if Netflix owns WBD, then that's not a separate theatrical studio.
That's the thing I don't understand about this, Bat Dan. If you want to know about the theatrical side of things, all you have to do is ask Netflix themselves. Netflix has been very vocal about the fact that they want theaters and they want movies in theaters. So I don't know what these people are talking about. It's like they don't pay attention to the source themselves. And you know what I think it is? I think it's just gun bots who see the writing on the wall and know that Gunny Poo's days are numbered, and so they're just looking at any way they can possibly defame Netflix, because they know that if Netflix gets in, that means Gunny Poo is out and the Snyderverse is back, and they can't cope with that. They cannot cope with that. So they're saying anything possible to help continue to besmirch Netflix.
Yeah, exactly. Yep, you're right, Mama Bear. Logic confuses the bots. Absolutely. And but again, Netflix is the best bet we have at this. And we know that with DC is that DC would be successful beyond the Snyderverse, because Netflix would go with what's successful. They would either say, okay, Zach, you finished your story, now we're going to reboot, but we want to see you back at DC for The Dark Knight Returns. Or they might say, hey, the Snyderverse worked successful, we're going to reboot, and by reboot, we're going to keep your 3 movies, Zach, as canon: Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, Ultimate Edition, and Zack Snyder's Justice League. And we're going to make new movies that follow only those 3 movies canon. That's my guess is what would happen if Netflix bought Warner Brothers Discoveries. I think that would be the best thing for DC, because DC needs some saving. DC needs saving, and I think the theatrical experience is their best bet is with Netflix. So this is just the best option all around, in my opinion. There is no better option. So Elon, please shut up and check into an asylum, because you're cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. And I mean that for many reasons, people. Many, many reasons. So get help, Elon. Okay? Get help. We like your Teslas, but still. Focus on going to Mars. Stop getting involved in this stuff. So, I don't know. Anything else you want to say about this one, Zod?
No. I hope I hope this happens. I hope it's already happened. That would be nice. We definitely could use a win at this point.
Absolutely, Zod. Absolutely. And coming up on this channel, I'm going to be promoting more of this idea of Netflix buying WBD, because until something actually happens, I'm touting this idea out like crazy, because I think this is a good idea that could happen. And again, if more happens to the whole Elon Musk thing and Netflix, we'll see. But I just know there's all these cancellation fads that happen, and then in the long term, it doesn't really do anything. So we'll see with Netflix if this is one of those or if something actually happens. But if something legit happens, I'll cover it. But for now, it's just headlines touting BS. So we'll see what's coming. We'll see. But I will cover whatever happens. Unless nothing ends up happening, then I'll just be like, hey, guys, nothing happened. So anyways, Zod, what about you? Memberships on your channel.
Well, yeah, I got memberships on my channel, and I'm finishing up One Punch Dan, and I'm really excited. I think I'm ready. I'm so ready for everybody to see the film. I can't wait.
I can't wait either. And I'm just going to address this one real quick. Yeah, I do think the multiverse strategy is possible too. They might not have a set universe. They might just go let Zack Snyder do his thing, let Matt Reeves do his thing. So
yeah, maybe they'll even let Gunny Poo do his season 3 of Peacemaker.
Hey, you know what? If we get the Snyderverse, then I could care less if we get a season 3 of Peacemaker. I can make a choice not to watch something. Well, that is unless my dad makes me watch the cover of for my channel, like he did with Superman.
I'm actually surprised your dad hasn't convinced you to watch Peacemaker for your channel.
Right, because he doesn't know about it. It's not like Superman, but that's more known in the general public. He probably doesn't even know about Peacemaker season 2.
Well, I mean, your dad's a comic book fan, right? He probably knows who Peacemaker is.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see, though. Well, next time we have a conversation, talk about that, we'll see. But I'll say this, guys, on this channel, if you see me reviewing a DCU movie, blame my dad. It's probably my dad who made me watch it. So, but
Awesome.
also coming up on this channel, I don't know about Sox and I reviewing the Spider-Man movies because I know they're being re-released in theaters. We already reviewed the first one, but I booked this Universal trip recently, and I don't know if I want to spend more money on the theaters at the moment. So I'll let you know. I'll let you know, and Sox will definitely talk about that. But yeah, I hope to do it, but it's not guaranteed. But there'll be a lot of cool stuff coming up on this channel. I'm going to be promoting the DC or the Netflix Warner Brothers potential merger / acquisition. So be on the lookout for that. And I don't think he'd be comfortable with me saying that live on the channel. So, guys, if you like this video, please like, share, subscribe. I'm at 520, guys. Get me to 550 and I'll do a big stream for it. And if you'd like, and please hit the notification bell so you never miss another episode. And on that note, any final words, Zodwriter?
Nope.
Have a bat-tastic day.